How are you doing today? I am Chico West, and I'm with
Shannon West.
And you're once again to Filter Optional. I'm the no filter.
And I'm the filter.
Thank you for being the filter in my life.
Yes.
Yeah. What we're excited about today is one thing. I got to give a shout out to all my Georgia friends. Hook 'em horns, baby. How about that Sugar Bowl?
Gosh. It's just,
Yeah.
I'm just so tired of winning. It just happens for me. I just win.
You just win.
Alabama,
Yeah. Who's playing tonight?
Texas Longhorns, Highland Park, Scots.
Yeah,
We
all
just win.
just winners all over
Yes.
the place.
So yeah, Bama's playing tonight for the national championship.
For the national championship. That's exciting stuff.
Yes.
So today we're coming and we're gonna this is a 2-part series. So if you don't get everything answered today, maybe you can send us questions as the show goes on and give you an opportunity to ask if we do not do a good job explaining this. But today we really want to talk about this word, this concept it's sometimes people hear it a lot of times, but it's called codependency. And what does codependency actually mean?
Yes, and it's hard for me to talk about because I suffer from codependency, but I have gotten a lot better through healthy habits over the years, but I was unable to see a lot of this in myself years ago. So it's hard to define.
It is hard to define, but the deal is, even as you and I were discussing, this concept of codependency, it kind of created a little tension between you and I. It's like I have joked in the past with you by making references like, quit being so codependent.
Yes, because sometimes you're spot on and sometimes you're not, and it just frustrates me a little bit. But it's also because I didn't see how a lot of these behaviors were harming me years ago until I really think physically I was hospitalized, because I think a lot of my behaviors were physically manifesting, in my body and shut me down. And
Well, and
it was
that-
kind
and-
of God's way of shutting me down too, saying, you got to figure this out. And go ahead.
Well, and that's the deal. Codependency, it's one of these things. It's like I see it a lot of times. It's like on a spectrum. If we were to go, hey, over here at one end, over here at the other. A lot of us were, God created us to be in relationship with others. So in the beginning, God said it's not good for man to be alone. So in a way, there is almost this innate place of having relationships with others. And it's easy to define, hey, I'm just helping out this person. So
try to define codependency real quick.
Well, a lot of times I believe it's what is unhealthy codependency. An unhealthy codependency, lots of times, it's a concept of a dysfunctional helping relationship, where one person supports or sometimes you might hear the word enable or disable that person, with addiction, with poor mental health, immaturity, irresponsibility, or maybe underachievement. And so it's just this unhealthy kind of, you heard the word enabling behavior, but I like to say more disabling behavior.
I know, but I think that when you're in an unhealthy codependent pattern that you're unaware of, that I was in for probably my entire life until 5 years ago, when I started to realize I needed healthy relationships. But unhealthy, I didn't even know, a lot of times when people talk about codependency, they talk about, oh, you're helping the addict or you're helping somebody with mental illness or something like that. But I have found in my life that there are a lot of people that don't even know they're in a codependent relationship with me, because there really is nothing wrong with them. It really is my unhealthy view of our relationship, like with a friend. A friend that, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think.
How about pause for a second?
Okay.
It's one of these. We're at this place that we really want to be kind of transparent and really talk about an issue that's tough, but hopefully give some examples and for people that might be watching this to not take it personal, because we recognize, both of us. I love that you're saying, Shannon, that hey, I've seen that I'm codependent. I recognize I'm codependent. I get real codependent lots of times with the staff that work for me and with me. Is like, I want to take care of their feelings. I want to take care of, any struggles they have, instead of really beginning to have those healthy boundaries.
Well, because one of the, there's a list of questions that you showed me that you can ask yourself if you might be signs and symptoms of codependency. And although I can't answer them all, okay, I'm going to say that. I can't answer a lot of them. And I hate to put my glasses on, but
you look real studious in those glasses.
I know, right? I'm smart without them.
Yes, you are.
I just can't see without them. But it's like, have you always worried about others' opinions of you? I could say yes to that question, but as an unhealthy codependent, you worry a whole lot more. And so codependency can come out in ways of, like, if somebody calls you and says, can you take me to the airport at 5 a.m. on Saturday morning? A unhealthy codependent
will say yes.
Will say yes automatically. Like, oh my God. And then if I had to try to find a babysitter, or if I was sick, or if I really needed to sleep, I would blow that off. I would be fine with that.
You would sacrifice your own health.
Yes, I would sacrifice my own health. And that would have nothing to do with the person making the request. The person making the request is not unhealthy necessarily.
Maybe.
Necessarily.
But the question is not bad.
But yes. But when you're talking about somebody that is codependent in an unhealthy manner, they have got to figure out in every relationship how they might be unhealthily codependent.
Yeah.
Like that. Like a friend just calling me to take her to the airport. I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask. You call friends for those kind of favors. But I found myself over the years
doing things that you normally wouldn't do.
Well, I would have to rearrange everything in my life to try to maybe help people. And,
and in a way, it was people pleasing.
Yes, huge.
Yes. You didn't want that other person's, going back to our very first episode, you didn't want that other person to have feelings that you believed were negative.
Right.
And so you would sacrifice your own feelings.
Right. And I've never really thought of myself, this is what caused some tension, is that I don't need accolades or like, oh, Shannon's so great. I don't think I need that. You seem to think I need that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you do with that, because you seem to think I need that. I
wasn't going to bring that up today.
No.
You told me not to bring that up. I wasn't even going down that rabbit trail.
Whatever.
And so all of a sudden she,
Okay, because it says, like, do you have difficulty taking compliments or gifts? Yes. Do you feel like a bad person when you make a mistake? Do you feel inadequate? Those are questions that people with unhealthy codependency suffer from. And so, yes, I used to. I think I've gotten healthy.
Yeah.
Okay, in so many ways. But I did used to think like I was a bad person if I made a mistake. Took everything so personally. But it wasn't because I needed props. It was because I was a human being and I made mistakes, and I didn't like making mistakes because I didn't want other people to think negatively of me or
think negatively, or you didn't want, I think in some ways you didn't want to fail that person if you made a mistake.
Right.
And so definitely I wasn't going to bring that up, but that is a good question. Do you struggle with taking compliments? And sometimes you do struggle with taking compliments.
Yes.
I know that is something that I've worked on especially the last couple years, is it's all right to take compliments. I definitely have gifts. There's a lot of things I do not have gifts with at all. I need to work hard at those. But there are some areas in my life that I definitely have some gifts that God's given me.
Can you see how that doesn't square with me when I am a person that cannot take compliments well, meaning I also don't want attention or accolades or, oh, good job.
What do you mean doesn't square well? I mean, I think I got your point.
If I can't, I don't like attention that way. Like, I don't, well, I mean, it can, it goes to so many things, love languages and whatever, and words of encouragement. I don't really need that.
Yes, but and that's kind of going down a different rabbit trail. But now,
it is, so I didn't want to do that. Yes.
Right now, it's like, but some of those other questions about codependency are good questions. Look at those too. What are those that you were looking at as well, Shannon? Because I think a lot of those, have you ever felt inadequate?
Yeah. Are you uncomfortable expressing your true feelings to others? I don't think so much now. I think that I have developed a pretty healthy way of sharing my feelings with others.
Yes, I think so too.
But, before I wouldn't be able to tell people, I really can't do that. I really don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I had trouble saying no, which is one of the questions. Do you have trouble saying no? Yes, I did. And that was evident.
But here's one that I think you do not struggle with. Do you think people in your life would go downhill without your constant efforts of helping them? Right. I don't think you struggle with that.
No, I do not.
And so the deal is we're not here really kind of talking about, hey, Shannon's codependency or Chico's codependency. We're really discussing, hey, codependency and how we wrestle with that and how we're trying to get healthier, but really giving you the concept of what codependency, is, and getting each person to grasp it and to begin to take a look at it.
Yes, because I think everybody struggles with it to an extent, and I think
it doesn't even have to be
recognize it. It
doesn't even have to be with someone with addiction or someone with mental health or those kind of things.
That was my point, is that a lot of people that I was in a codependent relationship with didn't even know that I was risking my health, my happiness, my joy. I was risking.
But you did a lot of the stuff in a way that was, I think of the example when we were kind of running the Sports Booster Club at our kids' high school. You really, in some ways, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, you did some things and it looked good, and it was a good motivation behind it. But there was this codependent relationship of you doing the athletic director's job.
Yes. And when I passed the baton, I had to own that. I had to say, okay, there is a lot that I took on and just did myself. And because one of the questions is, do you struggle asking for help? I think, yes, that's a struggle. Now, there was some time is of the essence. I couldn't gauge what I was going to need help with until the athletic director took advantage of my codependency. But so there were some unhealthy behaviors doing that, as far as not asking for help and not trying to.
You just wanted to get it done.
I just wanted to get it done.
And you wanted to get it done.
And it had to get done. Yeah. It needed to get done. And
you wanted to get it done, not just, for the kids, for the different sports that you were helping and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah.
You realized you were doing that, and there was some times that it can also, codependency, a lot of times we know addiction, when someone's in the throes of their addiction, it causes a lot of controversy outside of even that person with addiction. But when there's this codependent stuff, sometimes it can create tensions with other people too.
Yes.
And with you and I, it was creating some tensions. I'm not saying you're this flaming codependent, but you were overdoing for the athletic director.
Yes, I was.
And it sacrificed other things. But in the framework, it was like, man, you're helping out the school, you're helping out all these different sports. A lot of the
But
sports.
I'm sure people around me, I know people around me could see my, frustration and anger coming out in ways that, it probably, who knows, as I, seek to avoid people thinking badly of me or talking about me or something, they were probably in a room going, why does she do everything that she does? Why does she not get help? And some of it, I really couldn't find help.
No, you would ask people for help.
Yes.
But the deal is where you struggled, where it became codependent, you didn't allow those things to fall through the cracks.
That's correct. And so that's where
it becomes very codependent.
Yes. And unhealthy.
And unhealthy. And that unhealthy codependency is what we're really trying to frame up today, in that sense of when someone is overdoing for someone else, they don't have to experience the consequences if it falls through the cracks.
Right. They don't have to feel that pain that, oh my gosh, my child didn't have, an athletic banquet. They didn't get a trophy.
Yes.
Because Shannon didn't order them. No, but...
And it wasn't your responsibility.
Well, exactly. And so that is
But that's where you were taking it on.
Yes. And then I think that all of these behaviors in me, trying to rearrange my life, sacrificing my own joy and my own time and my own space and my own peace, all of that led to physical manifestations of I have an autoimmune disease. Happy to talk about that eventually at some juncture, because it's an invisible disease where I can go about day to day and people think, oh, she must be doing great. But in reality, I'm not doing great day to day. But, the proven, catalyst to autoimmune diseases are stress. That's just one amongst some others, but that's one. And I was bringing on that stress. I remember laying in that hospital bed Christmas time 3 years ago.
5 years ago.
No, it has not been 5 years.
I think it's...
Nope, 3. 3.
Okay, well, we can debate that.
Yeah.
I think it's been 4 because Travis
it was
had...
June when...
Yeah, no.
it was
Travis,
June when Beck was going into 6th grade. June that I was in the hospital for one day, and then we went to China.
And that was in 14.
Okay, we'll talk about this later, but my whole point is I laid in that hospital bed, unable to do anything for anyone. And in fact, it got to the point to where it was looking like I might be in the hospital for Christmas. And I remember having a conversation with you, I think, or my mom, and saying,
you had it with me.
Saying, you don't even know where all the Christmas presents are hidden.
Yeah, and I wrote it down when you told me. But here,
yeah, and you still probably wouldn't have been able to find them.
But here's the deal. Let's get back to codependency.
Okay.
We will talk
You're the one that
about
derailed about...
I don't think I derailed.
No, I was trying to make the point that my codependent behavior totally physically manifested. And I think that there are a lot of people out there that don't even know that they're overdoing or that they're sacrificing their own health because of these things.
Oh, okay. Now I agree
because it's so
with
subtle.
that.
It's so subtle.
So subtle, but also it's not just subtle, but it's attractive because you are helping actually others.
Yes.
You're helping the school, that you're helping all these sports
people. But as a codependent, as an unhealthy codependent, you're trying to gauge what someone else's response is going to be to any situation. Like if I think, oh my gosh, you're going to be bummed that you have a 5 a.m. flight, or whatever. I'm going to go out on a limb and try to change it and do all this stuff when I could call you and you could be like, oh, that's perfect. I got to stay up late. I can sleep on the plane or whatever. I'm trying to just use an example.
Yeah, no, that's a good example.
It's me. It would be me spinning my wheels trying to help you. Like,
yeah. In a good way. You were caring for me, but sacrificing yourself. And so I agree. The autoimmune disease really does have a lot to do with your stress level definitely added to it.
Oh, well, now it does have something to do with it.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
It's not a rabbit trail.
It wasn't
you
a
went on the rabbit trail about the
trail.
years.
Well,
I've been going to Dr. Chin for 3 years.
Travis was 15.
No, we're not talking about this anymore.
Never mind. Okay, but here's the deal. We have, we have this innate ability to help others. But if we're helping others at the sacrifice of ourselves, that's very codependent or unhealthy. It can manifest itself in actually autoimmune disease, other diseases that really create a lot of angst, but we justify it. But getting back to those questions are good on what you need to look for when asking yourself, do you have, these struggles? And some of the other questions, do you feel like a bad person when you make a mistake? That's one. Do you have difficulty adjusting to changes at work or home? Are the opinions of others more important than your own? Have you ever lived with someone who hits or who hits or belittles you? Alcohol or drug problems.
You had trouble with that belittles word, didn't you?
Yes. I did have trouble.
Belittles.
Yeah. Do you have trouble saying
I'm belittling
no?
you. I'm belittling you right now.
I know.
Do you live with somebody that belittles you?
Do you have trouble saying no to people?
Yes.
I mean, it's a lot of codependency is subtle. See, addiction, alcoholism, stuff like that, it is not subtle. But see,
I think a good one is, do you feel humiliation when your child or spouse makes a mistake?
Yes, that's a good one.
I used to feel so humiliated by my kids when they
or by me when I would say random stuff.
Yes, and by you. Yes. We had many dinners where I would leave in tears.
Yes, you would get upset because of my random, no filter.
It's not random. It's no filter. You would bring up something, political or something that it just was not necessary.
It wasn't necessary, but the more you understand my attention deficit disorder, I get kind of, my brain feels tuned in,
And then I'm being codependent. I do remember we went to dinner with a couple and had a conversation about a very political, social issue. And I knew that the couple there had really strong feelings that were opposite of yours because of personal experience, and I knew how painful that personal experience was for the couple, and I also knew how painful the experience was for you and why you were on your side. But when you started in and it was wrecking the dinner for me, I did get codependent on the couple, knowing that it was going to be painful for her too. And so,
well, I remember it had to do with abortion. Yes. And so, and here's the deal. It's like, you did know how come it had to do with me as well. My parents, actually got pregnant at 19 years old and had me at 20. And this was pre-Roe versus Wade. But they had the opportunity to abort me. So I have a passionate, belief about that my grandfather was a doctor and gave my mom that option.
Right. But
and so, that's my belief.
I understand that, but it just, anyway, but that's your no filter, because there's got to be a healthy balance between. I realized that my codependency got in the way because I was worried about what these people would think, how it would affect them, and our friendship and everything else.
And it really hadn't affected our friendship.
No, because I had to get you in the car and explain to you how it hurt me.
Yes, but then I shared my belief too. I mean, so it goes both ways. Codependency, I can admit there's times I get codependent about your codependency. And that's on me.
Yes.
I'm trying, and what happens with codependency, I get in there, I know when I'm getting codependent, I get in there and I try to fix the person. I try to rescue them. Sometimes I carry their feelings, but I'm good at fixing or rescuing or controlling. A lot of times I get in there and I don't listen and stuff like that. I think, you might struggle more with carrying someone else's feelings than I do. I think I do carry that person's feelings.
You're kind of a jerk. But
yeah. You were going to say a different word.
But I'm the filter.
Yes, you are the filter. So y'all can just put in the word that you think she was going to say.
Uh-huh.
But this brings me to a good place because, we've been talking about this. I mean, I got a phone call, from a couple that I know in West Texas, and they really care about these friends of theirs. And it's crazy. They know the solution, but they're so invested in this friendship that they are not being truthful with their friends about the wife's drinking and the husband's extramarital affairs. And so they dance around it and stuff like that. And we do those things when we're real close to people. Our codependency gets in the way, and we take on, and we're not truthful.
Well, yeah.
And so a
but
lot
also,
of times,
sometimes people they are not equipped to deal with that. Like, you can go in and confront that because you are a licensed therapist.
Okay, but here's the deal.
And interventionist and everything. But
here's the deal, Shannon, is yes, I can when I'm not related to the person or it's someone close to us.
Well, right.
I think there's lots of times that I struggle because I'm so close to people.
I know, but you're derailing from your example.
Yes.
Because how do you advise a couple that's dealing with something that they don't have the tools to? I mean, how are they supposed to confront that couple, or how are they supposed to not be codependent? I mean, they can't take on the feelings. They have to detach, I guess, from the couple or detach from the behaviors. But
okay, but that's a great question. I like that you brought that up. And so, I mean, one of the best ways that we can really begin to address those things is we show up honestly. And so what a lot of times, if you're dealing with a couple or someone like that, you might talk to the wife, and then you might talk to the husband. You don't talk to them both together, and just give your observations, and be prepared that they might not like what you have to see.
I know.
And so it's good to be honest in a gracious way. But I believe in this statement, and it's called speak truth in love.
Oh, I know. I know. I roll my eyes because that was your mantra for years, and it still is.
But it's not my mantra. It just comes out of Ephesians 4.
I know. But,
so I stole it
I
from
understand.
Paul.
But here's my point. So somebody like me is not automatically gonna know how to, in a healthy manner, deal with a couple friend that I care about that's struggling with all that.
Okay, but here's the great thing is these friends of mine in West Texas, they called me, they asked, okay, what do I need to do? They knew the answer. All I did was just help flush it out.
Yes.
I think you're a really wise woman. You know the answer, and sometimes we just need others to encourage us.
Well, yeah.
And that's not codependent.
That's what I'm saying is that you need to reach out. You need to find out how to be healthy in relationships when caring for other people. I mean, it could be the same as a friend or a family member with a cancer diagnosis. You don't know what to say to them. You don't know how to support them. But if you carry their feelings, like,
But here's the deal. So that's correct. Is like, so with codependency, on our next episode, we'll really kind of break it down more and watch out for being responsible for someone versus responsible to someone.
Right.
And we'll give some examples of how we have done that ourselves. But the deal is, what we do need to do, you're right, is we need to ask and we need others in our life, hey, what do you think's going on with me? How come you think I'm doing
that's
this?
What I was going to say, is that's what the point that I finally got to, where I wasn't a codependent living with an addict, thinking that I needed help with that relationship. Between you and I needed help with all the other relationships in my life, just in general, even with people that didn't know that I was being codependent on them. So I didn't want to necessarily, there are many ways that you can get help and discover that. And maybe that's a New Year's resolution for people, because it's a one day at a time, just like AA and everything else, addiction. It is one day at a time for me. The decisions that I make, the feelings that I take on, the power that I give other people in my life, I have to make those decisions daily. And I decided years ago to get one-on-one help instead of a group like an Al-Anon meeting, because I didn't quite feel like that's where I fit for self-discovery on my unhealthy habits. So I did a lot of work on codependency, which, whatever. But so we can break it down more, but yeah.
Well, and that's where, like last week's episode, we talked a little bit about addiction and stuff like that. This week's codependency, next week's codependency again too. But I helped. There was a great 80-minute documentary called Ask Documentary talking about addiction and codependency. In that little 80-minute, it's askdocumentary.com. You can download it and watch it for free. But in that film, I talk about codependency is real similar to alcoholism. You can get in there. It just looks a lot better. So think about that. But next week, we're going to really break down what, some areas that get in our way and how to move over to being responsible to others instead of responsible for others. And there's a big difference with that, with those two little prepositions. 4 is real unhealthy, 2 is healthy. And we are trying on that daily basis to do that. I do like that this pattern, a lot of times when I talk about the 4 and the 2, is that our parents did it to us. And so we repeat that pattern, but their parents did it to them. I'm not blaming my parents or blaming Shannon's parents. Their parents did it. It was what they thought healthy parenting was, being responsible for versus being responsible to.
All right.
So it's a generational thing. So we're glad. I'm excited. See how this is one of those. In a way, it's a tough subject, even talking about it amongst ourselves, because it looks healthy. But we're glad to be here today. Hey, go Bama for your alma mater tonight. Roll Tide. Thank you very much. Till next week. See ya.